Hello, I'm Donna Santiago. We're here at Loyola University in New Orleans, Louisiana. I am an entertainment attorney here in town and co-owner of a management firm. I'm also currently the first vice president at New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation. I'm originally from New York. I went to NYU undergrad and New York Law School for my JD. Been admitted to the practice of law for over 20 years now. And I teach Legal Issues 1. Legal Issues 1 concerns the management of your assets, your creative assets, which is your intellectual property, and the exploitation of those assets and how you protect the exploitation of those assets when you're working with publishers, managers, concert promoters, the film industry. How do you profit and protect yourself? The first few classes are really dedicated to intellectual property because the students need to really grasp that these are the assets that they'll be exploiting as they move through the industry, that all the assets lie in the intellectual property, so the copyrights, the trademarks, the patents that they might be creating if they're working in the digital, especially in media. Some of them might be developing apps that could qualify for patents. Even if they're derivative patents or original patents. But for them to understand first what all the rights that they hold with their assets, and then when we go to contracts and publishing, how they exploit those assets. So that's really how I like to structure the class. My expectations of the students are that they'd have a much greater understanding of the structure of the legal system as it relates to the music industry and entertainment. We touch upon all the issues relating to intellectual property, media, how the digital system that we have now, access, is really driving the entertainment business, and the law just lags behind and plays catch up constantly. I hope some of my students are inspired to go on for a legal education. Some of them have expressed that, so I'm proud of that. And I hope they just can be more professional as they approach other aspects of the industry. Some of my students have approached me about managing other students that are creatives and students that are business oriented, are pairing up and forming small enterprises. And so they come to me and say, you know, how do I protect myself as a manager? How do I protect myself as a booking agent? I want to do PR. What should I be looking for? I want to start a merchandising company. What rights do I have to the designs? So those are the kind of issues I'm addressing personally with the students and in a general way in the classroom. And the industry in New Orleans is, I think, going through a transformation right now. It's come a little slow to New Orleans, but New Orleans doesn't like change, so that's kind of natural for New Orleans. I've been in this business here pretty much since 2000. I've been dedicated to the entertainment and arts industry here, and 2004 is when I started getting involved with the Jazz and Heritage Foundation. But we're finally getting some structure, so infrastructure in New Orleans. So there are management companies cropping up. There are real promoters, local promoters, not outside promoters coming into this market, but local promotion companies that are doing concerts and festivals. And we're still waiting for a booking agent to come to town, and even if they do a satellite agency, I'm actually discussing that with someone in Nashville. Someone from New York opened their office in Nashville, and now we're hoping they open a satellite in New Orleans. And we could do it homegrown, but we kind of need for them to bring their structure here. And then I think if we get one, then we'll get the homegrown. So that'll be great for New Orleans. But we are the film industry is really strong. People are getting their music placed now because of all the filming being done here. The crews, the supervisors, the editors are being exposed to New Orleans music and the music that's being made here, realizing that it's all not trad jazz, that we have music that fits every emotion and scenario for a film that you might want. So and we're getting some scoring done here. So I think we have a real burgeoning industry going on, and hopefully these students will feed into that. But I have to say, for me, like when I left New York, I went to live in Dallas, Texas, and work was great there. There was a lot of business, corporate environment is very active, entrepreneurship is very active, and that was great, but I felt like I was missing a cultural connection. I tried New Orleans, and New Orleans felt like home to me. I think I grew up in a very traditional Puerto Rican household in New York. My parents kept the culture very present in our home, and so that Caribbean culture connection was something that I was missing when I went to Texas. But when I came here, I was like, this feels very much like home. This is very comfortable. There's so much cultural activity. It's very social city. It's easy to meet people. It's easy to make friends here. So I think that's very special. It's very welcoming. The culture here is very welcoming to outsiders. They really take you in, and if you immerse yourself and accept what's going on here, you'll feel very at home. The music is maybe the most important thing. When Katrina happened and I left again, I went back to Dallas because I still had a place there. And then I immediately thought, everybody started saying, oh, will the music come back? Will the culture come back? Or will New Orleans have to recreate itself 100%? At that point I thought, if those aspects don't come back to New Orleans, I don't think I want to go back to New Orleans. So actually my partner and I at that point started a foundation called the Backbeat Foundation. You can look it up at backbeatfoundation.org. And because the connections we had in Dallas, having worked in the large law firms there, people wanted to help and give money. And they were like, here, we'll give you money and you'll get it to the right people. And we thought, well, we can't just start taking money. So we created the foundation. We got our tax exempt status from the IRS and all that. And then we started taking the money. And we started just letting musicians know, in collaboration with WWOZ, that if you were coming through Dallas, look us up. We'll get you some gas money. We'll connect you to the hotels. We'll connect you to FEMA there. We'll get you to the right places, help you find the resources, and give you a few dollars. And so that was our way of trying to make sure that the music community that was spread out could stay healthy and come back. And then when we came back, we started doing presenting, so that we found all sorts of stages, whether traditional stages in a venue and very non-traditional stages, just to present music so that musicians would be able to work and play music. And that was my way of helping to rebuild New Orleans, a New Orleans that I wanted to live in. The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival is, it's always the same weekends. It's the last weekend of April, the first weekend of May. It's a 7-day festival. The first weekend is 3 days long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Second weekend starts on Thursday, so you get an extra day on the second weekend. We have 13 stages. Attendance is approximately between 70 and 90,000 people a day. And to the credit of the foundation, the festival is 90% local talent. So although the headliners get most of the media attention, it's really important to remember that the foundation is really promoting and showcasing the New Orleans and Louisiana talent and making the festival 90% local. And local, we mean all of Louisiana. It's not just New Orleans representative. So we have a trad jazz tent at Economy Hall, and we have a Zydeco stage at the Fedodo, a jazz tent, a blues tent. Then you have your major stages at Acura and Gentilly. You have a children's tent. There's a paddock with a small scenario stage for smaller acts and more intimate performances. And then there's 72 food booths, and each one of them has an item, a delicious item actually. It's as much an eating festival as a music festival. Our company is called Hypersoul, and our website is h-soul.com. Currently on our roster we have Big Sam's Funky Nation, who's a national international touring act from here. Sam was formerly the lead trombone for the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, then branched out on his own because he had a different concept of music he wanted to present. It's almost all original music. And Mia Borders, who's an alumni of Loyola, she's a singer-songwriter, doing really well, and starting to do some international touring. The Stooges Brass Band is another one, and they are really super high energy guys and have done 4 tours now, I think, with the State Department, kind of representing the U.S. and Louisiana and New Orleans. They've gone to Tajikistan, and they were the only American band to ever play in Lahore, Pakistan before the embassy got shut down. And recently they were in Cartagena, Colombia for a festival. Actually, that was connected through one of my former students here, whose family is there and was involved with the festival, and they asked for a New Orleans band. So I also represent Sasha Masakowski, the daughter of Steve Masakowski, and she has a trad jazz band, and she also is now branching out into a contemporary and maybe more progressive jazz. She has a few projects that she works on simultaneously, so we represent her as well. Chris Royal in Dark Matter. He tours as the saxophone player with Revolution, but has his own project here, a band that he works with when he's off tour. In the artist management realm, we take kind of an old school approach of actually developing artists. So my partner and I, we go out and see a lot of music and kind of identify certain people that we'd like to work with based on their talent and their presence and their ability to put on a show, actually to perform, to deliver a real performance to the audience. Genres don't matter. Our artists cross all genres of music, and it doesn't have to be New Orleans emblematic music. It could be rock and roll, singer-songwriters. We have someone doing very progressive jazz right now, which is not well accepted in New Orleans, but very interesting in other markets. So we really take the artists from the ground up. We bring them in, help them develop a strategy, a plan. Where do they see themselves going? Where do they see themselves fitting into the industry? And then we'll start out doing all their promo and their booking. And as we grow that artist in earnings, then we bring in the outside team and take that off our plate. So we'll bring in the PR person, we'll bring in their social media person, a merchandiser, and a booking agent as soon as possible, and take that off our plate. And then really just go with the progress, looking for other opportunities, that the manager should be looking for more opportunities and not spending time, calling venues and trying to get shows. So you want to give that off to the booking agent as soon as you can, so you can really stretch the opportunities out. The students are incredibly diverse. I always find I always have a few internationals in my class who are just interested in how the American system works and maybe why it's different from where they are. And there's always the two groups. There's the creatives, and then there's the business-minded. And you hope you find, that they do join up, because the creatives need the business-minded people, and the business people won't exist and won't have a business if they don't work with the creatives. So you always have those two mindsets and in the room, and trying to get them to the same point is always a challenge. To think the same way, and to get the creatives to think in a business way is always harder. But if they did, they wouldn't need the business side. I'm always, whenever I get really frustrated with the artists I work with, I say, I was like, well, if they could do that themselves, they wouldn't need me. So I'm hoping that we're developing both sides, that we're getting the creatives to think a little bit more professionally and business-wise about what they're doing, and then also to support the business-minded set, that group, to see how they nurture the creatives, not just to profit from the creatives, but to nurture it, because if you nurture it and you can grow it, then you will both become profitable with it. So that it is a nurturing process that they're going into when they want to work with artists. And that the artist, if you don't have that team yet, you can't afford the team yet, you need to get your ducks in a row as well, or you will never get beyond just creating and enter the business world. So that's hopefully the nudge I'm giving them. And I've just seen so much entrepreneurship from my students. They're all, there's always, 3 of us are starting this business. Can we meet with you? We'd like to know how we should set it up. And I make the time. They come to my office usually because I'm not on campus that much. So I have them come to my office. Then they kind of see the dynamic at my office. Every semester, at least 2 or 3 students from, not just from my class, but from the program, intern at my office. So through the internship, they hear the conversations. They see, what we're churning out, what the paperwork involved. That it's real work. There's not just rock and roll glamour kind of thing. That it's a 9 to 5. You're churning out paperwork. You're managing people and their emotions and their behaviors. So they get to see that side of it and be, in the office, actually doing the work and being responsible for the work. Like, we make them very responsible for the work when they're interning at the office. I feel if the students that come to Loyola, especially those that are creating, whether it's music, film, digital media, they have all this creativity, but I think here at Loyola in this program we can really help harness that and help set them in a direction for professionalism and into the industry, an introduction to the industry and the method for achieving that. I think the practical approach to learning here and the availability of all the active professionals. Most of the professors here are active professionals in the industry, and so they're always up to date on the industry and what the trends are. So that's a real plus for the students, to be in an environment where you have active professors who know the industry, who know the trends, who know the changes, and can really direct the path of the students into the industry.